Chelsea draw up massive transfer shortlist. Arsenal talk to Arteta. Everton go for a masterstroke. Ronaldo should have won the Ballon d'Or, and a transfer roundup all coming up in the next few minutes. As I'm your host, Matt Fodick, you are the Onefootballers, and this is the Daily News. So first up, and the fact that Chelsea have now had their transfer ban lifted mean they've got a lot of cash to spare, and they're going to spend it in January. According to latest reports, they've drawn up a 6-man shortlist of attacking options, supplemented by a defensive 7th. That is the fact that they might want to bring back Nathan Ake for around 45 million from Bournemouth. But enough about the defensive work, onto the exciting part of the pitch. Apparently they've identified Jadon Sancho from Dortmund, Leverkusen's Leon Bailey, Wilfried Zaha from Crystal Palace, and Villarreal's Samuel Chukwueze as being the players that can really help strengthen their attack. In the striker role, it seems like a straight shootout because Olivier Giroud is going to be leaving. They're either going to bring in Timo Werner or Moussa Dembele. I'm guessing that Leon's Dembele will probably be a little bit cheaper. What this means though is that Frank Lampard is obviously trying to sort out their recent rut in form. In the last 5 Premier League games, Chelsea have won only 1. That's pretty much relegation form, but because the rest of the league is also pretty poor and inconsistent, they still managed to sit in 4th. If they lose to Spurs at the weekend, it will mean that Jose Mourinho's side go back on level points with his former club, and things won't be looking so rosy for Lampard. As for whether or not Chelsea will actually be able to bring these players in, well, it's yet to be seen. As I mentioned, they do have money because they didn't spend any in the summer. But going and splashing 200 million on 6 players, or maybe even just 2 or 3 of them, seems a little bit unlikely in January. I'd be surprised if they managed to bring in that many for that kind of money, and I think they'll probably only bring in 1. The reason being that it's very, very difficult to sign players in January because clubs don't want to lose them midway through the season. In the case of Nathan Ake, he's obviously key to Bournemouth's defence. Now that Memphis Depay and Jeffrey Adelaide are injured for the season with Lyon, they'll be unlikely to let Moussa Dembele go. Jadon Sancho at Dortmund, he's obviously key to them in the last few games, and as for the rest of them, well, you don't need me to tell you how important Wilfried Zaha is to Crystal Palace. But moving away from transfers for a bit and to new managers. Well, first off, Mikel Arteta has had yet another conversation with Arsenal about becoming their permanent manager. The Arsenal Chiefs were seen leaving Arteta's home in Manchester on Sunday night, and apparently they're set for a 3rd conversation with the Suns owner Josh Kroenke in the next few days. Manchester City obviously a little bit unhappy about this, and apparently going to charge around 5 million if their assistant manager is to leave and become head coach at the Emirates. Yesterday on TFW, a video which you can watch by clicking here, I did actually speak about the fact I'm not overly keen on clubs promoting from within, especially former players. Now, Arteta obviously is being promoted from within. He is a former player, but he has worked under Pep Guardiola. I mean, you have to make this exception from the fact that he's gone and won Premier League titles in the last few years, loads of domestic trophies with Manchester City, and has been a big part of Guardiola's backroom staff. This gives him the credentials to, I believe, go on and be a pretty successful Arsenal manager. Certainly better than Unai Emery was, his fellow Spaniard. As for Freddie Ljungberg, he's won 1 in 5 games, and he really can't keep going on like this. But moving away from Arsenal and to one of Arteta's other former clubs, Everton, who are going for an absolute masterstroke with their new manager. Now, they got rid of Marco Silva after a rather underwhelming start to the season, and that's putting it politely. Yes, Duncan Ferguson has come in and pulled off 2 pretty good results, beating Chelsea and drawing at Manchester United. But if reports are to be true, and on Thursday they'll unveil Carlo Ancelotti as their new manager, this is unbelievable. He's a 3-time Champions League winner. He's managed AC Milan, Real Madrid, PSG, he's just left Napoli, Chelsea, unbelievable sides, top-level players, and he could be going to Everton. That's no disrespect to the club, they just aren't in the calibre of clubs that he's managed before. So much so that apparently he'll be made the 3rd highest paid football manager in the world if he does go to Goodison Park. What you can fully expect though, and I think this is probably a really good part of the deal, is that he'll get the best out of Moise Kean. Now, the £40 million signing was hauled off after coming on at Manchester United by Duncan Ferguson, who first off said they just needed to make a sub, and then said that he couldn't really get used to the pace of the game. It looks like things aren't quite right with Kean, and as a young player, he needs someone to put an arm around him, he needs someone to help him, and who better than a fellow Italian in Carlo Ancelotti. But whether or not that does happen, or to one of Carlo Ancelotti's former players, Cristiano Ronaldo, who according to Jorge Mendes, his agent, of course, said he should have won the Ballon d'Or in the last few years, and he would have done if he was still at Real Madrid. Well, no shit, they're Real Madrid, and he probably would have won ahead of Luka Modric if he's still been there, because they won the exact same prizes. Well, apart from the fact that Modric did go to the final of the World Cup. As for last year, Lionel Messi has been better, but Ronaldo could have been in the spotlight because of what their rivalry brings. The fact that they were in the same league meant that they were constantly pitted against one another, and whoever had the best season, was scoring the most, or did the most damage against the other person's team, well, felt they were pretty much set to win the Ballon d'Or. Now, I don't think that Ronaldo's ever going to win it again. Also, that kind of is Jorge Mendes' fault from taking him away from Real Madrid to Juventus, which Serie A is still pretty good, but not quite as competitive as La Liga, I think anyway. But anyway, back to the Ballon d'Or talk. It's going to be Messi from now on. He stayed at Barcelona. That is still where the focus of the best players in the world are. And Real Madrid and Barcelona still managed to attract the best players in the world, even from some top clubs in England. We've always said that there are English players or people playing in the English league, like Eden Hazard, like Harry Kane, who aren't even going to get close to a Ballon d'Or unless they're playing for the big Spanish clubs. That looks to be likely. Anyway, whether or not you think Cristiano Ronaldo should have won a Ballon d'Or in the last few years, let me know in the comment sections below as we head into a roundup of the rest of the day's transfer news. Leicester are interested in Juventus' Merih Demiral, who actually only joined the club in the summer. Spurs players have urged Jose Mourinho to sign Adama Traore after a fantastic performance for Wolves against Tottenham. Ezequiel Palacios has left River Plate and will join Bayer Leverkusen on a 5-year deal. And somehow, Alan Pardew looks to be back in management, although this time in the Eredivisie with ADO Den Haag. So that's all from me for today. Make sure you let me know your thoughts on the daily news down below. And of course, don't forget to smash the like button whilst you're there and click here or here to check out all of the other videos we've got going on OneFootball. But until next time, I will see you guys later.